Welcome to Rust Revival Garage. Wanted to do a quick follow-up video on installing the voltmeter. Did a previous video where I installed the water temperature gauge, but I also wanted to get that voltmeter hooked up and also see if I could figure out how to get power to the lights. I am so bad at anything electric, any kind of electrical stuff. So let's see if I can figure this out and get those lights on. So if you're going to have gauges, you might as well be able to see them at night. Let's get to it. Alright, so let's test this out. I'm going to take out the radio fuse. This one's a 15 amp. Let's get the voltmeter in there, see what we're looking at. Alright, so with the truck off, getting 0 reading. On the right hand side and the left hand side. Alright, with the key all the way forward and 11.53, 11.54 on the right hand side. So that's with the key on. I'm definitely getting a reading. Alright, so I've got the radio fuse in there. Let's drop in the little 5 amp fuse. There we go. So I've got the 5 amp fuse in there. And the 15 from the radio. I could plug this in and then wire the voltmeter line to here. Get the ashtray up out of the way again. Alright, so I've got the positive, which is the white, black is the negative, and I will use a butt connector to seal those together. Alright, I'll be back when I got it connected. Alright, so I've got it connected. Just going to run this through here for now. Cut it a little bit long so I have room to see where I'm going on the other side. I think I want to basically connect all of the negatives together and then route a negative maybe up back behind the dash. Alright, let's see if we've given ourselves enough room. Let's cut this wire a little bit. And let's strip it down. This is 18 gauge. And where's my... There it is. Alright, looks like we've got a pretty good connection. Let's go ahead and slide this up where the radio fuse used to go. Alright, so there we've got it up in there, and let's test it out. So, first thing I want to do is get these two positives together. This positive is already going to that fuse box, but it's got to be on all the time. So these two are going to go to one that's only on when the light switch is on. And I did that incorrectly. So I got that completely wrong. I realized that these are still the lights, the wires for the power. And I'm going to hook up this positive to this connector that came with the kit and plug that into the back of the voltmeter, so basically that it can register power. And then this, I will hook up all the lights together. So yeah, this was for the power, this is the positive on the voltmeter. I'm going to plug this in here, do a separate ground wire for this here, and then I will connect all three of each gauge together and do a positive for the lights. So I'll get back to you when I'm up to that. So what I've done is taken all of the positive wires from the lights. The light bulbs are right here, all three light bulbs. Put all the positive wires in here, put all the negative wires together, and I've also taken a negative wire for the voltmeter and a positive wire, and I put the ends that came with the kit on here, and so these are going to plug into the back. Then I've got the positive and negatives all connected together. What I did was I ran the negatives up in here and screwed it directly into the firewall. And then this positive cable is going to run over to the fuse box. So let's go ahead and finish setting up these gauges. So we'll wait for the lights last. Got my positive on the positive. Got my negative wire. Oh, you know what? I need to put this through first. In fact, yeah, that's again, you want to make sure you're getting your cables through the hole first. And the lights. The lights I don't need to worry as much about as I do getting through here. Oops. It's got to be behind it, Tim. Alright, so I've got the and this is my negatory, and the positive is now hooked up, and I can go ahead and screw that on. So the only thing I'll need to plug in after this is my oil pressure, which doesn't work, but the light will at least work. Alright, so I've got the voltmeter in. The water temp gauge is already hooked up and running. This one will have lights. So let's go ahead and plug in the light in the back of each gauge. And there we go. Just need to tuck the negative wires here up out of the way for now. And let's hook everything up to the fuse box. Alright, so I tried, basically what I did was I tried to hook up to the TL Courtesy, which is a 20 amp fuse. I had the feeling that the TL was tail light and courtesy lights. I did plug it in using my fuse tap, and the lights stayed on the entire time. So the one I decided to try was up here, and it said instrument LP. I think it's instrument LPS. So I believe that's instrument lamps, and it's only a 5 amp fuse. So I took my tap, put the original 5 amp fuse in and the other fuse that came with the tap, and let's go ahead and see if this one works. Alright, so I've got it up there in the fuse box. Hopefully this will only turn on because it's tied to the instrument cluster, the lamps that are in the instrument cluster, the radio, the heater, all of that. Hopefully now the lights that are in the gauges will only come on when my lights are on. So let's give that a try. So this is only the positive. I ran the positive over from the gauges to this tap, and it's only connected in the positive. The negative is in the firewall. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything should work. Alright, so we got the gauges all installed. The lights all work when you turn on the headlights. You're able to see those lights in the cluster. So that's a win for me. Like I said, not very good at electrical work and even making sure I got it hooked up. What really helps are those fuse taps. Not sure how great they are, but figured I'd give it a try because that way I'm not having to cut into any existing wiring. That's what scares me the most. I cut into a wire and whatever it was used for no longer works. That's sort of the story of my life. So got it hooked up. The voltmeter is actually reading a correct reading. If you remember from the previous video on checking to see whether this old girl's gauges were clearly working well, the voltmeter that was in the existing gauge did not work well. Now I'm getting a true reading from the aftermarket gauge. So that's what I wanted. So we've got the water temp gauge. I've got the voltmeter hooked up. Oil pressure, may try that one. That's a little iffy because I worry about running a plastic line through the firewall where it could get cut or heated up or damaged, and then you've got basically oil, a hose full of oil squirting all around the interior of your vehicle. So may not hook that one up, but at least I've got power lights to those gauges. I've got the water temp hooked up. I've got the voltmeter hooked up, and it's reading accurate. So I'm happy with that. That's a win. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.